All right, Wes, it is time to get into our next section, which is going to be covering Xbox, GameCube, and PS2. So we got a hidden gem from each of us on one of these. I'll start things off with Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Chaos Bleeds. Or Bleed. Chaos Bleeds. That's what it is. This is the sequel to Buffy the Vampire Slayer on the original Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
The sequel, not the first one, the sequel was released on multiple systems. The first one was only on Xbox.
Yep.
Now, I will give you a caveat. I do think the first one's probably a better game overall.
I agree.
But the second one is still fantastic. And when I see people talking about it, I mostly see them talking about the first game, which is a big reason why I picked the second one. Because I think the second one is almost as good. Maybe the story was probably a little bit better in there. But the gameplay, they added extra mechanics to. And I think it may have been a different team, but I think they had access to the engine, if I remember correctly. But it was still an excellent Buffy game, which was shocking. There was even a GBA version of Buffy, which I recommend. Also very good.
Really? Yeah, it was definitely a different team from the first one. The first one was so good, though. It was so good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the second one just had like extra power-ups and stuff, and obviously the story was different, but I enjoyed them both quite a bit. I mean, if you have an Xbox, you should get both of them. If you have a PlayStation or I don't know if it came out on GameCube, but you should definitely get Chaos Bleeds if you don't have an Xbox.
I want to say Chaos Bleeds did come out for GameCube as well. It's just the first one that stayed Xbox exclusive.
Yeah. And the game probably could have sold really well if it was on everything. I think that was the problem at the time. You know, it was GameCube and PlayStation, I think, had a bigger install base, and them moving the second game to all systems made a lot of sense. But definitely great games, man. Especially if you guys watched the show at that time, it did a really good job. It felt like playing an episode of the show.
I agree. It did. It did. It was like an extension of the series. And I think the second one introduced a few more of Buffy's supporting characters, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, there was multiple people you could play as in there.
Yeah.
I got the pricing pulled up here for you guys too. So this is from Price Charting. Loose copy on Xbox is $17.95. A complete price is $22.92, and a steel one's only $55. Wes, I mean, come on.
That's cheap.
Xbox games in general tend to be cheaper. I mean, you guys got to go pick this up. You know what's sad, Wes? I went to go, like I said, I was trying to play all these games. Went to turn on my Xbox. She didn't turn on this time.
What? No.
So the power cable seems to be the issue. Seems to be. I don't know that for a fact, but you press the reset button and it flashes yellow twice, and then the reset button clicks off and it doesn't send any power to the system, which is supposed to protect the system. But I tried it in multiple outlets, so I know it's not the outlet, right? I got a new power cable coming. I already ordered it. My concern is that the Xbox, I think it's the capacitors in them, tend to leak, or something with the battery for the clock. There's something in the system that tends to have massive problems, pretty early on, and I never got my Xbox. It's still like original from the box. I never did anything to it, so it may be time that I have to ship it out, because once those things start leaking, it's just going to cause corrosion and all sorts of damage inside the system. So either way, I should be sending this thing out to get it fixed at some point.
Oh man, that sucks.
Yeah, man, it's my original Xbox, like the one I had from back in the day. I never had another one, so I'm kind of sad about it. I'm hoping the power cable fixes the problem, but either way, I need to ship this thing out and get it recapped.
Okay, you still got your Duke controller hooked up to it?
No, I'm not gonna hit anything. No. Actually, to be honest, I really like the Duke controller, but I don't have one here, unfortunately. I have one in New Jersey.
Okay. Well, to continue on the Xbox one, my little hidden gem for Xbox is a game put out by LucasArts, and it was Armed and Dangerous. It was just a straight up action shooter. And the only way to really describe this game, I'm going to read you the description. So, take a band of gun-toting rebels, a robot, a madman, a mole, and a criminal mastermind. Put them in a wildly stunning fantasy realm. Then give them an impossible mission. Pull off the biggest heist of all time in the middle of a war. All you have to do is battle your way through dastardly enemies, giant war machines, and an army of psychopathic robots. But don't worry, you have plenty of ammo and absolutely no common sense. Victory is yours in 12,000 bullets or less. That's the description of Armed and Dangerous, and I agree. It's just, it was so good. It came out of nowhere. It didn't, I saw some previews, a couple magazine ads for it in the gaming magazines back in the day. I don't think it got any love at all. That game was so overlooked.
When we were talking earlier, you mentioned this game, and in my mind, I was thinking of a different game. The one in my mind was Metal Arms Glitch in the System, which is a fantastic game.
That's good too.
But I thought that for some reason my lines crossed. So this game I actually never played, but that description you just gave me sounds amazing.
It was so good. It's a straight run and gun shooter. That's all it is. You could pick, which character you want. It was a single player game. You can pick, between the four, and you're just shooting up everything, destroying everything, just run and gun. And it was just
first person or third person.
It was third person.
Okay.
It had a lot of dialogues, and it was very comical. It was funny as well.
I mean, LucasArts at that time, was like known for making like games that were legitimately funny that you would actually laugh at. Which there's a handful of them now, but
yeah. Oh, you were playing it, and like I said, the dialogue, you were definitely laughing out loud on a lot of the scenes. It was just a lot of fun to play, and I was hoping they would give us a sequel. Back in the day, there was a lot of talk that they were going to do a part 2. Never happened, and which is a shame because the first game was just so good, and it's cheap. It's really cheap, bro. A complete in box is $13.
What?
$13. If you find a CD, just a CD, you're looking at $9, $10 tops.
I would never pay for that. I would definitely pay the $13 for a complete in box.
It's so worth it.
You keep talking about it. I got a convention coming up. This is going to be something I'm going to hunt for when I'm there. I'm going to add it to my list, Wes, because I have a list this time. Because I'm going to go in this a lot smarter than before. All right. Armed and Dangerous, right?
Armed and Dangerous.
It's on my list.
You won't regret it.
I'm sure I'll find a copy of that, man. That's the beautiful thing, ladies and gentlemen. If you're an Xbox fan, you go to these conventions, you have almost no problem finding whatever you're looking for. If you have like 2 games on your list, you're going to find them. They're going to be there, and they're going to be cheap, most likely. You're not going to pay an arm and a leg for them.
Well, who knows? Maybe our good buddy over at Jersey Shore Video Games we'll have a copy.
Oh, I'm sure he has a copy. I'm sure he does. Dude has a copy of everything somehow.
Pretty much. Video coming soon, folks.
Wes, I like to smash things. That's the theme of the show.
Smashing and shooting.
Smashing and shooting. Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction Nintendo GameCube is spectacular.
It is.
Just played that last night. I actually played this, and probably for about 40 minutes or so, I would say. Blast. An absolute blast. It was getting late. I think this was the last game I played at the end of the night, so it was probably like, for me, for a 40-year-old man at 11 o'clock, that's late, okay? I was pushing 11 o'clock. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to die. This game is so much fun. And you know what I forgot, Wes? I forgot that you had the ability to snap objects in half and then use them as
boxing gloves. Or yeah.
Dude, I totally forgot that. So much fun. And then when you're done with them, you can throw them.
Agreed. No matter what platform or what console you were playing it on, it was fun.
Yeah, it came to everything: PS2, Xbox, and GameCube.
Mm-hmm.
That was out that time, and you guys got to check this game out. It's fantastic. I'm gonna look up the price right now because I forgot to do that earlier, but it's not. I don't think it's that expensive at all.
It was better than the other Hulk game that came out. The one that was based off the Ang Lee movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember that
this
one.
was so much better. This was so good. It was really, really good.
Okay, it's gonna set you a complete in box copy is gonna set you back a whopping $28.
Bro, that's cheap.
It's nothing, man. A sealed one's 85, and then a loose one's 24. Like, just go buy the game. This is one of my. I own it on GameCube. You can get on whatever console you want. To Wes's point, but this is one of my top tier GameCube games.
Yeah, I wound up buying it for Xbox, and it's definitely one of my favorites in the library. Because you're doing what the Hulk does. He smashes stuff.
Exactly.
That's all he does.
But it's fun even today. It's fun to play. Like those open worlds. Like the game controls, pretty damn good for it not being a modern, system at all.
Yeah, I have to go back and revisit it.
Now I really like your GameCube pick here. Now this I never picked up on GameCube. I think I have the Xbox 360 version. They re-released this game at some point in time, and I got that version. If I was back in the day going to buy a copy, it would have been on the GameCube. Wes, tell me about your game.
Yeah, so my GameCube pick was I picked it up on a whim, only because I was kind of coaxed into getting it because we worked at EB and other co-workers were like, you have to buy this game, you have to buy this game. And it didn't take much coaxing. I bought it. And my game was Alien Hominid for the GameCube. And it was a 2D flat side-scrolling shooter. But the graphic style was very crude in its animation or in the presentation.
Well, this was a Flash game originally, and they ported it to consoles and stuff. So I think that's why the animation and stuff looks the way that it does.
But that's okay because it was so good. It was hard. That game was hard. That was a tough game, but it was, oh man, it was so much fun. It was like a combination of a shooter with some platforming aspects on it because you had to jump and stuff, but it was Alien Hominid. So good. I was so glad I picked it up. But
that game was hard. If I remember correctly, I mean, who the hell knows if we're going to both either remember this, but wasn't that game a budget title? Wasn't that game like $40 or something?
No, I think it was a full price at the time.
Really? Man. Okay. I remember it being cheaper. Maybe that's when I was considering buying it. It was like $40 or something. I don't know.
But yeah, like it got like almost no love.
Oh yeah.
It got no love.
If you knew, you knew. And if you didn't know, you had no idea.
And that's exactly it. That's exactly it. Because it wasn't one that was on my radar until our friends Justin and Greg were like, no, you have to buy this game. I'm like, fine, I'll buy it. And I'm glad I did.
Wes, that was one of my favorite parts working with you because I knew if I was like just talking about a game enough, you would buy it. It didn't matter what it was, and I never did it on purpose. I was always honest, right? I wasn't like making you buy crappy games or anything, but I was like, no, this is really good. Wes is gonna buy it. All I gotta do is talk about it for like 15 minutes, and he's done. That's it.
I had like no sales resistance, and I was like, I was trying to be good. I was like, But hey, I bought Charlie's Angels for GameCube. I bought Aquaman. Why not?
Oh my god! I've seen videos of that Charlie's Angels game. I don't know how you bought that game. That game looks.
Oh my god, it was horrid. I think they gave it to me. I think the company just gave me a copy.
I hope they did. I hope you didn't pay for that.
No, I definitely didn't pay for that. But Alien Hominid, if price wise, if you're looking for just a CD. You're looking at about $60.
Ooh,
just
okay.
Yeah,
that's
just
for the I thought it would be.
For the CD or complete in box, you're looking at about $80.
Oh, It's only $20 difference.
But still, lose for like $60 for just a CD
Yeah.
for a GameCube game. That's pretty pricey. That's
It's
kind of
probably just a little harder to find, I would imagine. I'm not saying the game is rare, but the game is probably a little bit uncommon, would be my assumption.
I would agree. It's definitely not one you see all the time or see often.
For sure. It's not like Cube of War rare. It's not like that. It's
No, but it's if someone has Alien Hominid in their collection, they know what they have.
No doubt. All right, so we're gonna hop into PS2, and my choice is a weird ass Japanese game. Now I know you're saying to yourself, Matt, you just mentioned you don't like manga or anime, but I do like some weird ass Japanese shit. I like Yakuza, so maybe you can start to understand where I'm coming from a little bit. Now this game is nothing like Yakuza. There's nothing like this game at all, and the game is Mr. Mosquito, and it is some bizarre.
It is bizarre.
I love it. You fly around as a mosquito. You have to land on people like gently, and you suck their blood. And I know the mechanic doesn't sound that fun, but it was fun. And these people are getting pissed, and you're terrorizing them. It's fantastic.
Mr. Mosquito.
Did you ever play this one, Wes?
I did. Again, it was just one of those odd titles that you just saw come in. I was like, what the heck is this?
The company who either developed, it was the developer, I think. They were Fresh Games, and they made that, and they made like a handful of other bizarre games on PS2.
Didn't they make Maestro?
They did.
Yeah.
Mad Maestro.
That's it. Yep.
They made a few games. Those are the two that come to mind, but I think there was like a third or a fourth one also. They were genuinely good games. They were just strange,
They were definitely out of the ordinary from what we were used to playing.
And Mr. Mosquito got a sequel in Japan. That's the saddest part, Wes. That never came to America. Like, come on,
okay,
guys.
Mr. Mosquito was very Japanese. Like the game, you could definitely tell it came out of Japan because it has that feel to it.
Sony, you got to re-release this thing, man. You got to figure out a way to get this on my PS5. I need to play Mr. Mosquito 2 on my PS5. Get the English dub in there, whatever you got to do. Actually, no, I don't want to dub. Keep it Japanese. Just give me the subtitles. That's all I need. Just get the translation going, I need to know the people are suffering as I pester them and suck their blood. All right, so enough of Mr. Mosquito. Oh, let me give you guys the prices. You probably want that. In case you're interested, the loose copy is $60, complete in box is $80, a sealed one's $241. So, not a cheap game, but not crazy expensive. It's kind of in the middle. It's a little bit.
Yeah, $80, huh?
$80.
Huh. All right.
Not dude. There's some PS2 games that are so expensive now, like Haunting
for
Ground.
real.
Oh my god, Rule of Rose, like the
Guitar Man. That's like $140 ish.
If we only knew, Wes. Do you know how many copies of the Haunting Ground I probably had in my hand? Do you know how many Rule of Rose? I probably had dozens of these in my hands, and I was just like,
Yep. Nobody bought them, and I think we didn't get a whole lot of those either because they were kind of like so obscure.
I wish I would have done some research on it, like Haunting Ground. Haunting Ground I knew was more on the horror side of things. I was just like, I don't know. But Rule of Rose, I always thought that was an RPG. I didn't know it was a horror game.
It's like survival horror.
It might have convinced me to get it if I would have known that. But I looked at the game and I was like, this is an RPG. But it wasn't, clearly. I was just an idiot. That's all. Anyway, Wes, what's your pick going to be for PS2?
All right, so my game is a Grand Theft Auto clone, and it was put out by Sony, and I'm sure it sold a ton of copies, but it stood out as far as one of the titles, as far as like my hidden gem, or it didn't get enough love, and that's The Getaway for PlayStation 2.
I would say that right now is a good time to mention that because not many people talk about The Getaway now. It's 2024. Who's talking about The Getaway? Very few people.
Nobody, and they
Nobody.
should, because The Getaway was so good. And I've been saying that all throughout this episode. It was so good. It was so good. It was so good. Because we didn't pick like junk to put on this list. We picked stuff that actually was good, and everybody should have in their library.
I don't know about Sword of Berserk, but that's okay.
I stand by Sword of Berserk. Everybody should have at least play Sword of Berserk. But The Getaway, it was set in London. It was very Grand Theft Auto, and the story was real good. The acting was real good. The driving mechanics, a little off depending upon the car you pick, but it played so good. It played so well. The story was top notch. I said, people need to be talking about The Getaway. I would like to see them do a remake now of The Getaway, or give us a new one.
Yeah, I think that they came from London studio, and if I remember correctly, I think they're closed. I want to say they just got shuttered in the past few months, because they were doing VR stuff for a while, but I'm almost positive Sony just closed them, unfortunately. But The Getaway, I've only played the demo. There was a demo that came out. I think I still have the demo, and the demo was really good. I just didn't have any extra money at that time, and I ended up never going back to get it. But that you know what? It's going on my list, Wes. Check it out.
There you go.
I bet you the game's cheap, and you'll let me know that in just a moment.
The game is dirt cheap. It's under $10 complete in box.
This is certainly on my list. I'm definitely going to be picking this up at the convention. Absolutely.
They did do a sequel called The Getaway Black Monday.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't. I didn't like it as much as the first one, and I don't know if it's because it kind of been there, done that type thing. Different characters, but it still took place in London. But just the first one,
they reused a lot of assets probably and just made a new story. Basically.
Yeah. Oh, but the first one, everybody should own it. It's dirt cheap. Put it in your library. If you've never played it, play it. If you are a game collector and you're just looking for something, The Getaway. Highly recommended. Highly recommended. And like I said, it was put out by Sony, so it had some push behind it.
Mm-hmm. It did.
It's just,
I remember the marketing.
It kind of like, but the buzz kind of came and went.
Yeah, it definitely did. It was like everybody's excited for a couple weeks. Back then, so this was 2000, let's say 2001, 2002, somewhere in the early 2000s, right? And what would happen, it's not like today. Today is like, there's just an endless amount of content being released. It's overwhelming how much stuff there is being released. But back then, you might have only had like 2 big titles a month. But if The Getaway came out first and a big title followed it a week or two later, that was it. As soon as that other big title came out, everybody moved on.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody starts talking about the next thing. So having that gap was like extremely important. So just compound that and think about, you have like 24 hours now until the next big game comes out. It's like stuff is releasing constantly. I can't even imagine those poor developers having to go through that today. But my point in saying this was, that game was talked about a lot for a window of time. And as soon as the next thing came out, that window was shut and closed and beyond them.
It was gone. Yeah, oh, without a doubt. Yeah, because, it was in the shadows of Grand Theft Auto.
Mm-hmm.
And all everybody talked about was Grand Theft Auto. But Getaway, I would put The Getaway up there. Getaway was so good.
I'm excited to go to this convention, Wes. So if you guys weren't aware, I'm talking about SoCal Gaming Expo. It's happening in like June 8th and 9th, or June 9th and 10th. I don't remember. Something like that. That's where I'll be. You guys can welcome to say hi if you see me there. The 5 of you that watch this show religiously. But if you want to say hi, I'll be there. The biggest thing that I'm excited for is to hunt for these cheap games. Now, there's expensive games. They're easy to find. You're going to find expensive games. They're going to be all over the place there because people are trying to sell them, right? But I really enjoy trying to find cheap games that I don't already have that are like fantastic. Like that's what my list is mostly
Mm-hmm.
compromised of. And then I have like one high priced item, and I'm already like working out ways to make that not as expensive, right? So if you guys do go to a convention, you should have a plan. You should have at least a few games that you're looking for. It's a lot more fun to have that than to just go in completely blind. I would have at least a handful of games that you're, aiming to find. And then when you find it, it's exciting.
Hopefully, I'll be there with you, my friend.
Yeah, man, I'm hoping you can make it out. That would be dope.
That'd be great.
Heck yeah.